All right. Give me just a second here. I'm trying to get everyone admitted in. You have to do this all by hand, which is crazy in Zoom. But I want to make sure I get everyone in here. Let's see here. Oh my goodness, there's a.
Hey, sorry guys, that we're a little late getting started here. Thanks for popping in here, Teresa. That was just the presentation. Man, what's crazy about that is you could just go so much deeper into that, huh? It's like
That was barely scratching the surface. I mean, what we did last spring was 3 hours, and I just barely had time to get through anything.
we're recording this. This session's being recorded too, and I think sometimes the presentation is really helpful. But then when you really get into the Q&A side of this,
Yeah.
that people get so much out of it, other people's questions being asked as well. And if you came to this event for like, let's say you've been selling online for a while and you're pretty good at it, you're getting 20, 30, 50, 100 grand in sales a month. This is the type of stuff that I really feel like for you, you're going to get the most benefit out of this conference is learning from people on that higher advanced level. Like, we always hate, having people that come here that are really advanced in experience and, they're getting content that's designed for people that are new. This is really stuff that, but you talk about it being advanced and really, Teresa, like if you're a teacher, right? All the different grades first through, K through 12, right? What's the lowest grade that you could probably teach this to where those kids could get it and actually go out and do it? Fifth grader, fourth grader?
Yeah. Even preschoolers can grasp a lot of basic concepts that people don't really realize, honestly. And what it is with children, I have found it to actually be easier to teach children than adults because children have no fear. They are just ready for the world. They're excited. They don't have the responsibility. They don't have the pressure and the weight of the world on their shoulders. Okay. So when they walk in, they're excited. And when they start learning, they get excited and just everything rolls. But with adults, there's so much pressure. And that sometimes gets in the way where you've got to somehow put that aside. And then you're able to open up the world for yourself. And that's the difference between teaching children and adults.
It's a standard operating procedure. That's really what it has to be broken down to. Now, I have one question. I just want to start off first by asking this question before you kind of continue going through what you're going through and then let everybody get their question out. How do you track the data? Are you putting it in a spreadsheet? Are you using a Google Doc? Have you built any kind of a template for that? When you go, you're reverse sourcing, you dig down, you find a brand, you find something. How are you pulling all the data points off of the page and making it usable data? Or is it going into a CRM where we're maintaining a database of contacts and relationships with wholesalers? Or how are you compiling that data?
Yeah. So there was a point in time when I did try a CRM for a while, but you got to be careful because sometimes those things, when you send your emails out, it might start flagging your email as spam. And then it goes to their spam folder. And there's a reason why they didn't get back to you. Okay. So you got to be careful with that stuff. And then I went back to the basics of just a spreadsheet, and holding all of your information in one spot is highly, highly important. So the one thing that I teach is getting your contact supplier spreadsheet up. That's all you need. Just use Google Sheets and keep all your information there. Keep information in different places of what you're going to act on now and what you're going to act on later when the time is right, because you can't do it all. You got to have your future forecasting of your business and what you can do right now. And there is a place for each of those things. And I make them as different tabs in a spreadsheet. So now you've got your full business of what is going on right now, what I need right now, plus your potential right in front of you, your growth. And do your research once. If you find a manufacturer and you really cannot act on it today because you need to make money now. So I put that in a section I call the wait list, because maybe I'm not ready to take on the learning curve of how to create an Amazon product page. And then I got to figure out all this keyword stuff, and you're overwhelmed. So don't do it. You need to focus on what you can act on today and what you can do to get money going today. Then when the time is right and you've got enough foundation built and you're ready for that next step, then you're ready to begin learning some things, some more skill sets. But you can't learn all the skill sets at once. Okay, do it one thing at a time with your skill sets. That's what I've had to do over the years. So what I call that practicing for mastery. And that goes back to me, teaching privately for many, many years. And I would have a lot of different students that wanted to learn and get on a real high level. And we're not talking about just kids, but adults too. My oldest student that I ever had was 97 years old that took private lessons with me. And there is a way that I learned through my research in graduate school. I got really fascinated by this research that is mostly psychology, quite honestly. It really was. It was a deep dive into tons of psychology when I was in graduate school. Doing the research, reading it every single day, all this stuff. And I was really fascinated by things. And then some of it became popular. It turned into a book called The Mozart Effect. Well, there's some things about that book that is not accurate. You need to go and actually read the real research of what it says, but it talks about talent. What is talent really? And I began to investigate this. The reason why is for myself. I couldn't understand. I have nobody in my family that is a musician. Nobody. I'm the only one. And I couldn't understand that. I thought, am I adopted? What is wrong with me? Why did I do this to myself? I got nobody to help me. So when I was growing up, I got fascinated with this and I started, learning piano at a young age, took lessons, and my parents were like, well, you got to practice and you got to listen to what your teacher's saying because we can't help you, like you're on your own. So I did, I would listen to the teachers because I had no help. There was nobody except for, the teacher of trying to help me. And I couldn't understand this. I thought, well, why in the world did I do this? And how did I get here where I decided to go into this like a career, and then I went on and studied, I'm classically trained. So I studied that. And then I went in and did, master's degree program, which was a lot of psychology. And that's when I did a deep dive into a lot of research to try and even just figure my own self out of what is going on here, for why am I able to do these things? Because I pretty much don't think I was born this way. You look at my family, I'll guarantee that being born that way had nothing to do with it. And then I began to experiment. And I began to experiment with myself first as a guinea pig as to what can I do to master something in the shortest amount of time possible. And I started to learn that and figure it out. And then I began teaching it with all of my private students and began teaching them how to practice. And over the years, I called it practicing for mastery is what it is. All right. And then I ended up taking that over into coaching, and the same principles apply. You have to practice for mastery, meaning one thing, and you do it slow. Go really, really slow to make sure that you don't miss a step. It is slow motion. And I know it sounds counterintuitive, but what happens is the exact opposite. You're able to master it on a very, very high level and actually a shorter amount of time than if you were to try and race through it and barrel through it really fast, because you're not catching all the mistakes that are going on. Why is that a problem? Because you're practicing the mistakes. And you're putting that in your short-term memory and forcing it over to your long-term memory. Your short-term memory can only hold 3 pieces of information. So in order to get it to your long-term memory, you have to do it over and over again, called practice. If you start practicing the wrong stuff, then that's in your long-term memory. And now it is what is now, a lot of people are talking about this, is it's in the unconscious mind. You're doing it automatic and you don't even know. that you are doing this on automatic drive.
She was watching that and I'm watching something else.
And then when you go back and you try to fix that stuff, it's really, really tough
She was watching that.
to do.
So yeah, I'm a musician too, Teresa, and you know, I'll try to play, like I'm learning some Eddie Van Halen right now because he just passed away, and just going back to my 80s stuff, and you know, when you're trying to play like Eddie, if you try to go over it too fast, it sounds like garbage, and you fool yourself into believing that, oh, that's okay, and that little mistake. But when you really slow it down and you get it to where every note is perfect and the timing is right, and that's kind of what you're doing with this business when you're dialing in wholesale, really, or using your reverse sourcing technique. You know, Quentin has a really good question, and I guess for this, if someone wants to unmute and hop in and ask a question, or even ask a question in chat.
Sure, yeah. Then I have things that I prepared to as well, but I want this to just go flow how it needs to. All right.
Yeah,
whatever you need is what I'm here for.
Yeah,
but I always have something prepared just in case no one shows up.
I can answer my question live if that helps.
You know, that question that you asked is a great question, Quentin. It's, you know, when you're looking at products, you're not concerned about all the sales numbers or whatever. Go through and explain your question. Ask your question a little bit clearer.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, hi there. Fascinating talk, very interesting. Thank you. I was just interested, when you were looking at the products you were choosing, you were ignoring the number of sales. So I just wondered why that was. Was that just to find the supplier?
Yeah.
And then once you found the supplier, you look at the number of sales in their products? Or were you planning to optimize their listing, drive traffic off Amazon, so it didn't really matter what the sales volume was, and you knew it was on a downtrend at the moment, it was going to pick up? I just wondered, once you found that supplier, what your criteria was to choose the products to sell, if that's okay.
Yep, it can be a yes to all of those. The strategy that I created was years ago, and it still works today, and not just for me. Okay, it's worked for hundreds of people, and it still does even yet today. And a lot of people say, well, has that changed, you know, over the years? Have you changed? Like, nope, not at all, because it's those underlying principles of moving away from your competition. So I get a lot of flack for that, because when you're a beginner, you learn about sales rank, and that's to protect you, to make sure that you will make some kind of money. But then there's a point when you get beyond beginner and you need to move into the more advanced strategies, and you put aside sales rank and you forget sales rank. And because sales rank is not the end all be all to whether or not a product will sell, it's just a snapshot in time, and it changes every hour. And there's reasons why that sales rank is the way that it is. So I would look at the products, and I would even buy inventory for the real high sales rank stuff that most people wouldn't do. And I would look at the product page and say, why is that sales rank so high? Well, gee, it's been out of stock for 3 months. Well, that'll do it. You know?
You can see that on the keeper graph.
Maybe I should test this, because there's nobody selling it. It's wide open territory. I think I can test a couple, you know, and lo and behold, I've done that on lots and lots of stuff. Did it in a lot in clothing. And I was able to start testing products. It would be like, I think in particular, there were some scarves. I love that because it's one size fits all. You're not going to have a lot of returns coming back. Clothing for me, by the way, has been the highest sales in Q4. It's a category that nobody thinks about, with home being second, and toys is like, I don't even touch. It's not worth it. It's highly, highly saturated. So if you want to make a lot of money during Q4, get away from toys and go into other areas. And I made a ton of money in clothing and a lot in the home category. Those are the biggest sellers, all wholesale, because I was able to get so much more than what I could before. But when you are looking at a sales rank, for the example of the scarves, I'll look at it, it's like a 2 million sales rank. And when I opened up the account, I looked at that and said, do I want to test that or not? Let's look at the product page and find out what's going on. Why is the sales rank at 2 million? And do I want to take a risk? So I look deeper into that product page and see that it's been out of stock for a certain period of time. Well, that's why. Or it could be that, it could be that it just needs to be optimized. All right. And if you feel comfortable optimizing that, try it. And I started doing that. I started to optimize lots of existing product pages on Amazon, and they loved it when I did that. And I would open up several cases at once, and then I'd get a call from the supervisor of the catalog team. I was on the phone with her for 2 hours once. That was really cool. And she was showing me some tricks on the back end. And she said, wow, I see what you're doing here, and you're definitely doing it on the right track. And they have this thing where they can lift some things from behind your account. So she did that and allowed me to go in and have full access to all of these product pages that were not mine and go in and optimize them. And she gave me a certain period of time to get it done. And so I did. It was a lot easier than having to have her reps sit and try to approve all of this stuff. It made more work than
for everything, right?
Yeah. So she trusted at that point that I was on the right track. I'm doing the correct things. And she lifted that. So I was able to bypass all of that and get everything corrected. I think it was like 16 different product pages at once. And then it was a matter of 2 weeks and the first sale happened on a piece of clothing at a 2 million sales rank. It didn't take that long.
Because it re-indexed the listings.
Yes, you got to allow time to re-index it.
When you make a change to one of your listings that you built, Amazon, you're going to see a dip in sales for a week or two, and then it's going to come back even stronger, indexing in the search, Amazon search for all the other keywords that you may have put into the back end, as well as adding the images, adding keywords to bullets, titles, descriptions. So now that 2 million sales rank product that's been out of stock, right, is now ranking, and people are able to find it. And you were the medicine that fixed the whole thing. And you would have, if sales rank were the only thing that you were looking at, you would have never seen the whole story going on within the product niche category or listing. Another great question that was just asked as well. And Deb, let's go ahead and unmute yourself. I want you to ask this question, because I get lost in it. You go fast, Teresa, but everything that, like, you're just dropping gold. And I'm like,
oh, sorry,
frantically trying to jot down my notes here.
Sometimes I go too fast.
What keyed you into the out of stock side of things? But Debbie, ask your question.
Okay. So Teresa, firstly, that was just like amazing. You blew my mind. So thank you. And what I want to ask you is that you were explaining when you did the search, when you did the research, when you got to Amazon, you were looking for products that were out of stock. But then I didn't understand how you connected that with your research of getting to the actual manufacturer list. Where did the out of stock and the manufacturers connect?
Yeah. So when you click on that little area that says include out of stock, those product pages appear. They wouldn't appear otherwise. And that could be a gold mine for you, because there's nobody selling the product. That is a lead to a manufacturer. And then not even the manufacturer is selling the product on Amazon. Nobody is, not the manufacturer, not Amazon, nobody. So I want to know that information, because I've already did my research. Remember, we look to see what is it that people want, and I need to go find the manufacturers that make the stuff that people want. Okay. So that's why I did it in that direction. And what it did was it revealed to me that this brand has a lot of products where nobody's selling it on Amazon. And these other Amazon sellers are probably not finding it, because they may not know these little teeny tiny techniques. And just that one thing can make all the difference for you. So then if I go and I open up that account with that manufacturer, and they got lots of products that are out of stock on Amazon, and I go in and I start testing those, that's a gold mine for you right there.
The only way to
So you actually went from the out of stock to the manufacturer list.
Yeah. So everything that you see with these product pages on Amazon are leads. And that's where you have to let go of arbitrage. And you got to say, okay, we're not doing arbitrage right now. What we're doing is we're finding leads to manufacturers. So I don't need to know any information about sales rank. It's not important. I don't care about a lot of the stuff that you would, because I'm not in the phase of analyzing whether I'm not going to sell this particular product. That's not the phase that I'm in. There's a time and place for that after you contact the company and get the catalogs coming back. But now isn't the time. And you're going to spend too much time on the wrong things that will slow you down. And your time is very valuable. You need to protect your time. So you just turn that off in your head. I don't even look at sales rank because I don't care. And then I go and I contact the manufacturer, bring the stuff in, and then I will start to analyze the catalog. And I go deeper into looking at those pages to see, well, what can I test here? What is my risk level at with that? And you're going to find some good stuff and try some things that you may not have tried otherwise, especially with those out of stock. So if you take just that strategy and say, I'm going to look for the out of stock stuff and start selling that stuff, that's a good strategy to have. It's been, that's one of many that have worked well for me and for a lot of people.
There's a reason why it's
fantastic. Thank you.
It may have sold, Debbie. That's another thing too, is those out of stock things. You know, I'm not looking for the stuff where there's 50 sellers on it, all tanking it, racing to the bottom because they bought it because they saw it on the list. I'm looking for the stuff that, why is it out of stock, and the story, and those leads are, I think, some of the better leads to look at first as you go down and prioritize the criteria of what meets that criteria of something that I'm looking for when I buy a product. It has to have, the first thing I look at is does it have too many competitors? If I search that keyword, the main keywords, the 3 keyword phrases that the people are going to type in to find that product, and I look and it's over 1,000 other people buying for the same keyword, right? And there's a lot of competition on that particular product. That'd probably be the first indicator that I look at that makes me kind of go, all right, yeah, we're going to move this lead down the list because there's too much. You can't change the competition. You can't change how many competitors you have. You can change sales rank. You can actually change it.
Yeah, you can change sales rank all day long, but you cannot change your competition. That's what I had learned the hard way. And I had to look at what's changeable and what's not changeable. Well, I can't change who I compete against, but I can change that sales rank all day long. And I want to master that skill set. So then I did. And you just keep going. And you will, especially if you're journaling, you're going to uncover these patterns that are the basic principles that work for every kind of business. Even if you are not an Amazon seller, it's going to work for you everywhere, in every marketplace, and your own website. You have to do the things to move away from your competition. And this is one problem that I see with private label, is they are going into a saturated area because they see these products and say, man, they got such high sales on them that I'm going to do the same thing, right? And they try to copycat. It really doesn't work. And they can't get their products sold because they've moved into a red ocean. If you've ever read the Blue Ocean Strategy, the book is like a dry read. I'm sorry. I can say that because it was written by professors and I know how they are. I worked with them for 16 years. So I know what that's like, you know. Some of them, their humor is a little weird. So it's kind of written dryly, but it's based actually on research is what it is. So you don't even have to go read the book. Just look up the YouTube video and get the 5-minute synopsis of what the Blue Ocean Strategy is. What you're doing is moving away from your competition. So you have to position yourself and your products away from everything else. And one of the best ways to figure out how to reposition something is through the keyword research, because it's going to reveal to you exactly what people want and what they're looking for. That's what I love so much about that. And I started learning that years ago, and then I began to use it everywhere. So when I first did my first website, I had no money. I started to create little cheat sheets because I did my research and I found that word cheat sheet, and I started to read. I thought, well, I can make that 1 page, one thing on one piece of paper. Okay. I charged $1 for it. I started making them and they were selling. And it was to the point that I had to open up a Shopify store. So I opened up a Shopify store. I did my research. This was before I knew anything about selling on Amazon. I didn't know anything about what I was doing. Nothing. All I knew was I need to pay bills. Okay. So that's what I did. And I opened up an entire Shopify store. I've had it for years, and began with selling digital products. And yes, people will pay $1 for one piece of paper that they can print off at home. That is a guaranteed fact, because it's exactly what they want, what they're looking for. When I was doing my keyword research, I found out that they were looking for a cheat sheet about this. And I thought, well, I can do that. That's easy. So I put it together and put it out there, and boom, it started going, you know? So then I thought I need to, you know, like figure some more stuff out about how I can bring more money in. And that led me to Amazon, and I was sewing pillows at my kitchen table for Etsy, and I was selling off a bunch of stuff on eBay. It's just, you know, it keeps going. And I actually use that keywording stuff in eBay. Your titles are very, very important. You heard about that earlier. That's a lot of SEO is what's going on there, what they're talking about. Same is true for Etsy. Etsy has really changed a lot. It's awesome. Etsy shows you the keywords of what people are looking for. You know where they got that from? They look an awful lot like Pinterest search engine. They started to take some things from there. Google began to take some things from the Pinterest search engine as well. And sometimes they have these little tile keywords up at the top. Pay attention to this stuff. The opportunities are everywhere. You just got to open up your eyes.
And have the right attitude. Hey,
yeah.
Let's go to another question here. Patty Mazzullo, unmute yourself. Patty, I got to tell you guys, has been with me, and she's also a coach with us here. But her area of expertise is really eBay, but she does everything too. But Patty, how are you doing? Are you there?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm in my jammies already, so I'm not going to be on video. It's too late over here. Yeah, I had a couple of questions, Teresa. One of them was I wanted to ask you about when you were earlier in the first session, you were talking about using the trends tool on Pinterest. Mm-hmm. So my first question is, do you use that tool to do your research no matter what platform you're selling on?
Mm-hmm. Yes, okay. Absolutely. So the trends tool just came out in January of this year. Before that, I just went into Pinterest itself and started to search around, and I found out exactly what people were looking for because the trends are there and they're going to appear as, you know, keywords for you. Right now, Pinterest has removed some of those tiles, but I believe it's still there on mobile. So they've been undergoing some massive changes this year, and it has just been all over the place with stuff. And I've been working like crazy. I manage different accounts for different brands. And so I've been working like crazy of making these adjustments really fast and trying to keep ahead of what's going on here. But so there's been that as a change that has happened recently. But look at the drop-down suggestions, because what I found over the years is with the drop-down from the search bar, those are the most searched for rather than just the tiles themselves underneath. That's called the guided search. And within the guided search, that drop down, the words that match the guided search should be as far over to the left as possible. If those two things align, you better be moving in that direction. And that's your starter keywords to go deeper into that. So I take that and I write them down. Those are my starter keywords. And I plug that into other search engines to get more detailed information. So you're not going to get a lot of really detailed information, but you do get your starter for what people are really interested in for the trends and what they were looking for, what's popular. I plug that over into Google and I get a lot of the longer tail, more detailed, more specific stuff. And then you can look in Amazon search engine as well. We never did get to that keywordtool.io because I thought I could do this stuff in an hour and I clearly overshot that. But you can go over there as well, and it's going to give you for free. It's going to give you more of those long tail keywords, and you say, oh, so they want Christmas mail decorations, what kind, what type, and then plug that in, and you can be selling the stuff on eBay without a doubt, no problem.
Okay, yeah, I sell on a few different platforms, but that just my second question was, are you? Because I have a few wholesale accounts. Are you telling them that you sell on Amazon? Do you just tell them you're an online seller? Or, you know, I've found that I've had, you know, not a lot of pushback with that, but with some of the wholesalers.
Nope. I tell them I'm an Amazon seller right out of the gate.
Okay.
And I tell them exactly why they need to have their brand on Amazon. And I explain to them about how their brand being represented well on Amazon is important to them to gain more business for them in the long term. And I go on and on and on. So what I do in that very, very beginning email is I basically take all of their objections that I know that they're going to have, because you're going to hear them pop up, and I write them down, and I come up with a creative solution. That's what I do. And I'm proactive. I am proactive so that my communication, especially my first piece that goes out, is very proactive of saying, you know what, this is why your brand needs to be on Amazon. This is why, because they're going to tell you, oh, we don't want our products selling on Amazon because of, they won't tell you why, but I already know why. They're afraid of price erosion, and they're afraid of this, and they're afraid of that. So I address it right out of the gate. And then what happened is by doing that, your response rate increases. So the average response rate is 10%. It'll increase up as high as 50%. And I see this with coaching students. Once they start to really take their time to craft an excellent email as their first communication that is very, very personalized, and it might take you half an hour to write it, they will start to get higher rate of responses coming back with this. And then what happens is they end up with, I don't hear from them because they're okay and they're doing fine. I only hear when there's problems. You know? So when they're fine, I don't hear. And then they come back and say, I think I'm going to have to stop sending out emails because we have so many catalogs coming in that we don't have time to get through all of it. Yeah, you probably better put a pause button on that so that you can get some inventory going. So you need to address all of that stuff right from the beginning. If you don't, you're going to end up doing a mistake, which is you don't tell them that you sell on Amazon, and then you buy the products from them, and then you start selling on Amazon, and then they find out and say, I'm sorry, you can't sell our products on Amazon. Now you got to pull all that stuff back out. You got to recall it all back again because you hid that information. So you need to be transparent and very genuine and very authentic. These are real people. Okay, when we're talking about wholesale suppliers, we're not talking about like the wizard in the Wizard of Oz of some big thing, you know, sitting up in a, you know, these are human beings that you need to connect with. And the more that you connect with them, the more that they see who you are, and then they'll like you and trust you and see that you're genuine and authentic, and they will say yes. So your response rate will begin to go up higher and higher as you build that relationship with them. It may take more than one time of contacting them. So if you don't hear back from them within a week, you need to get on the phone and call. You need to send out another piece of communication somehow. Personally, what I do, video. If they don't want to take the time to read, they will watch that video guaranteed every single time. It works. Video is amazing, but a lot of people are afraid to do that. They're afraid to show themselves. You need to show a picture of yourself and a video. They need to see who you are because they are doing business with a real person. You're not doing business with another, you know, it's not like my computer's doing business with this computer. No, I'm doing business with a real person. So they need to see that I'm a real person and I'm not some kind of scam sitting in another country somewhere, you know, saying that here you need to pay me this money. I'm not, you need to be real and be you. You don't have to put on a show. You don't have to cover up anything, nothing. Tell the truth and they will respect you for it. And they will start to listen to what you have to say. So I started doing videos and it just made a remarkable difference and started testing that. Now everything that I do is a video. I'm putting out videos everywhere and I send those videos. So then when I opened up the marketing side of my business, then I began to do the same thing. And I contacted a lot of CEOs directly for some brands, a lot of different brands. And I'll tell you a quick story about one of them in particular. How did I get his attention? This was an ongoing communication that took me a year and a half of being able to finally land this account for an ongoing basis. So I actually manage their account for an ongoing basis now. It took that long for this to happen. And it, so I now do marketing and some consulting for a very large fashion brand in the United States, out in California. Is one of the ones that I was able to begin working with. But how I got his attention was through video. And I sent over a video and I talked, I shared my screen. I said, man, I think you got some awesome and amazing things going on. Lead with compliments. Do not go in and say, you're doing this wrong and you're doing that wrong and this is all terrible. That's a great way to shut somebody down, right?
Me at trade shows is, man, I love this product. I think I could sell the crap out of this stuff to my customers.
Yep.
No business owner that I talked to at a trade show went, get out of here, kid, you bother me. They're like, oh, really? You think, oh, well, let me show you more. Let me tell you the story. Let me tell you about how we came up with this and the whole story. And that's the one thing I found too, Teresa, is the shortest distance between you and a relationship you want to have is a story. Let's say it's a customer. If you have the right brand story, bam, they love that. But your story too, they like your story. Hey, I'm just a music teacher out here from Iowa.
I tell them I'm a girl that lives in the middle of cornfields. They love that.
Now that they know
that's the truth.
Go, like, and trust you. That's an interesting concept. Now, it's I don't want to say the name wrong. Alv Madrigal. Is that the name? Is that how you say it? Pop in. And you know what? You have a really good question because, it talks about some of that adversity, and maybe you can go a little bit deeper, Teresa, on this question about, well, what do you do when other people figure you out and they jump on your product and they tank it, and do you move on to the next thing, or what do you do? Ask your question and tell us a little bit about your experience.
Yes, Teresa, it's a pleasure. You are dropping bombs over here. Thank you so much. And
hopefully they're good ones.
No, super amazing. I'm super impressed. But I have three cases that I can show, not right now, but I mean, proving cases that I improved the listing. I found it was selling 600 units. It's a cleaner. Because I'm in the category, because I work in construction. I don't know this place, but so it's I have three different cleaners, like grout cleaners. Please don't go over there. But so I improved.
You didn't hear that.
Yeah, no, nobody. So I improved the listing with some tricks, doing showing the shower of my customer, finishing and cleaning and regrouting and all the good stuff. I improved 3 listings, and it was selling like a 600 a month. And after I improved 2 months after that, it went like a 2,000. And then 25 other sellers jumped on that one. So what is the approach over there? Did you just keep moving, or to another product, like a next, or what did you do over there?
You know what I would do if I were you? Ask them if you can private label their product.
But it's no. I mean, I'm
why not?
No. It's a multi super big corporation.
So
am I.
Go ask.
So am I.
You're a business just like they are.
I'd private label that one with you.
I mean, if you have proven sales on this and you have the skill sets to create now a product page with great keywords in there, because when you optimized it, you did something right.
Yeah, because I have been working
so you capitalize on that
for 7 years, and I know all the trade secrets and all the good stuff for that. But
do you know all the Gap products to add to it, to bundle it?
Yeah, I'm doing bundle it. Yeah, with a 3D printer, and everything is doing great. All the good stuff,
That's cool.
I think it's time for you to launch a brand.
I have yes, I have my brand, but I'm just doing wholesale, But I'm filing my try
I
marketing.
have a feeling that 10 people watching this at least are going to private message you in Facebook.
Yeah,
Please,
and-
feel free to reach me. No, but I mean, yeah, but you find the listing, you optimize in wholesale, but in wholesale, you optimize the listing and you have like a 25 sellers jumping in the
Oh, yeah.
listing, right?
yeah, that happens.
Just keep
It's going
going,
to.
right?
It's going to, because you did something
Yeah.
right. So first of all, congratulations. You now have gained an amazing skill set,
Thank you.
and you can
Coming from
repeat that.
Teresa.
Yeah, you did. You can repeat that skill set over and over and over. None of your competition can take that away from you. You know what's happening? Your competition doesn't have these skill sets, so they're just going to ride on your shirt tail. So guess what? You lead the way. You got the skill
So
set.
that's why I moved to the wholesale bundle system, and
Mhm.
I'm doing tests like me showing like how to clean your shower in like
Mhm.
in video. I'm testing ads in video and everything.
Yep. That's a brand. You think you need to develop a brand and a line of products because you know this niche, you know it well, you've got the skill sets, do it, launch it. And I'm not just talking about just physical products on Amazon. This is everywhere. You need to also take that and capitalize in multiple streams. You could be doing digital products as
KDP,
well.
like a manuals,
That leads in. Yes. You could get all the search engines going and get the marketing offside of that, push on.
Yeah,
And there's so much you can do if you focus on one brand now and build it.
Yeah. I'm gonna start doing Pinterest and all the good stuff. Yes.
Teresa, and just on that note, you didn't even get to talk about how Pinterest is the cheapest advertising cost to drive traffic from Pinterest into your listing on Amazon, into your website, into your fold. You know, these other spokes that go in the marketing wheel. Really, that's when that's what I talked about yesterday. Is you got to get a mile ahead. If you get a foothold like you have to keep working to get a mile ahead. It's like, what do? Do I just move on when they pop on? No, I know they're going to hop on, and this is what I'm going to do when they hop on my listing.
Yeah, so it's not a problem. What you did is not a problem. This is actually very complimentary. You have an amazing skill set that you need to keep leveraging for you, and use that now. You're ready to build a brand. You're ready for that next level. So
thank you, Teresa. Thank you so much. I mean, super awesome.
You're ready to go to the next level, and you need to do it. You do.
This Q&A, I got to tell you, it's bringing the vibe of being live in person with you guys. That is what we're all missing right now, because what's happened here in 2020, and be able to just share it with the 60 people here. Thank you for showing up and hanging out with us. Let's jump on the next question. Thank you for asking that question. Such a good one. Lots of good questions. Catherine, let's bring you in. Catherine, if you want to just unmute. You know, I think your question is excellent too.
Hi.
Hey.
Hi, how are you? Thank you. Again, like everybody else, I'm really blown away. I've watched some of the wholesale video on PAC, and I thought it was really interesting. But I feel like after this this presentation, I feel like I'm really intrigued. So you know, I actually have a couple of private label, and need to work on getting it better. And you know, I also feel like the wholesale is really interesting, and it's a good place or segue or leeway to get into like what you find. How you find out about, you know, what your next private label is. So I guess my question is, like, when you find something on the listing, you apparently, you know, like I think I'm just kind of like sounding back to what Patty was asking. You know, yes, I tell them I'm an Amazon seller, and I'm kind of worried about, you know, they said, oh, I don't want to work with Amazon seller. But, you know, apparently someone took their product and they created a listing, and they were on Amazon, because that's how we found out about it.
Yep.
And how do you take the next step and tell them, you know, I know I have the knowledge, I can help you to grow your brand and generate awareness in the community, so to increase sales for your brand. You know, so I guess I kind of like want to learn a little bit more about in that area. How do you communicate that?
Okay. So the secret to your communication is to not talk about yourself.
Okay.
Seriously. 75% of your email needs to be about them. You only get 25% of that to say in 2 sentences what you do and here's how I can help. That's it.
Okay.
That's it. They will come to you and say, wow, that's amazing. That is cool. And if you do a video, you need to do the same thing. Same thing. Talk about them, lead with compliments, lead with everything that they're doing right, that is good. What you love about them. What do you love about this brand? What do you love about these products? Is their audience? Become their biggest fan. That passion will shine through. They hear it. They see it. And then they'll say, wow, you know a lot about us. If anybody can sell our products, it's going to be you. So we're going to pick you out of all these Amazon sellers that are emailing them, because they get a lot of these emails every single day. Guess who's going to stand out amongst all the Amazon sellers? It'll be you.
The person that
all
sent
day long.
The person that sent the video.
Yes,
oh, okay,
the only person that
Yes,
sent the
okay.
video. I'm telling you.
Okay.
The only one.
First.
Hey, Catherine, by the way, real quick, Paul Pemberton was just on. Paul's one of our awesome coaches in Australia on the ground. I mean, you want to start selling into Australia, he's the guy you want to get to because he's got a warehouse. He can do all kinds of great stuff for you. But he wanted me to tell you that he is bringing manufacturers into Australia.
Excellent.
Wow.
For you. So contact him.
Yep.
And he can be a great resource for you. So.
And I will say this, there is a lot of amazing manufacturers in Australia and people are looking for that stuff in the US.
Mm-hmm. And they're how to get it on in the US, and you could be the catalyst for them.
I have several that do that. They bring it in, they import it from Australia. They have got some really good stuff, really great manufacturers. You cannot find that stuff. When I do the research, I see that people are actually looking for it. They're even typing in the brand name, nowhere to be found. So what you're doing is you are serving the people by helping them find exactly what they're looking for and what they want. Serve them. Pull that, get that stuff in, import it, bring it in, get it up on Amazon. There's a lot of amazing manufacturers in Australia. There's manufacturers all across the world that are really, really good in places you would never even think of. I even give advice to people if they need to do phone calls in the UAE. I've done it. like I've done it. I talked to one of them who is, I'm telling you, there are some amazing entrepreneurs in the UAE and they are doing quite well. It's the richest area in the entire world. They know what they're doing. And they were trying to, figure out some things. And we had to use some apps and stuff in order to do a phone call because the government blocks everything. They even block Zoom. We couldn't even do a Zoom call. So that's how you can get around that. There's ways of getting around everything and ways of figuring it out. You can do a Zoom call with a representative from a manufacturer. I've done Zoom calls with CEOs direct, and they got on my calendar. They just got right on my online calendar, and we were able to talk and go from there. I love doing the Zoom calls because they can see me and they can hear my voice. And they can see that I'm real. It's more personal than just the telephone. So I always try that if at all possible, because I want them to see who I am and that I really do value what they're doing. And I'm going to be behind them as their biggest fan and trying to support them and encourage them. And that's what you're doing when you partner with someone, is you say, let's do it together. Let's work on this. Let's see what we can do here.
Yeah, quirkiness too. People, they like to laugh, and I'm weird. I interrupt people. I mean, you have to pause me on Zoom calls like this usually, but or mute me out. But like I came up with a business brand, a company, because I want it to exude who I am and what I'm all about. So I feel like I'm authentic, and that's what I want the culture of our business to be, is really authentic. Like Jim, the reason why you were probably attracted to Jim Cockerman, his podcast, is because he's really authentic. He's original. He's very unique and authentic. But I'm also eccentric. I'm that musician that always gets kicked out of bands because everybody's like, yeah, no, he's way off the charts. He can't, but it's like, eccentric. So I combined those two words,
Yeah.
authentic and eccentric, and created a band called Authentric. And so what that is now is a business that we build corporations. We set up an Amazon account. We get a trademark. It's ready to go, brand registered. You want to buy a setup Amazon account? Let's say you get suspended. You want to get a setup Amazon account with all category approvals, ready to go with the brand name, everything, $5,000. There you go. Done. Think about that idea. It's pretty authentic, isn't it? So, you know, your brain is what makes you powerful, this stuff. And you know, that, Teresa, you know, that whole idea of a video, you know, it doesn't have to go off the deep end and be professionally shot, right?
No.
And it could be simple, but make sure it's who you are and what you all are all about, because that's and you tell your story a little bit, because that's that connection, that shortest distance between you and the relationship you want to have.
Mm-hmm. Right? What happens is when I do videos and I send them over, so I started doing this even on the marketing side. So everything in your journey leads to the next, to the next, to the next. And the more skill sets that you master, the more that the world opens up to you in ways that no one else can do, because they're not willing. They're not willing to practice these skill sets and try to get them down for mastery. And that's what opened the door for me to say, man, there's a lot of potential with the search engine stuff. And I was learning the whole Pinterest search engine stuff, mastering Google, and then even did a lot of testing in YouTube. YouTube is the second largest search engine in the world. And I thought, man, this works. This works. And I started then working all the search engines together. So you're mastering skill sets. Then I did some brief videos with sending them out to different CEOs in different places, because I'd never heard of this stuff before. And I would take them through and I showed examples, short things of this and this and this. And I really think that there's so much more that can be done here, but this is the amazing stuff that you're doing right now. So congratulations. This is really cool. Now let's see if there's a way to capitalize on that. What happened is I would get this response back immediately that said, wow, thank you so much for the video. That was amazing. And I went back and I watched the video again so that I could take notes. Do you know how many times I heard that? I heard that a lot. And if they are willing, when you do a video, they're going to respond back, because they're just amazed by the fact that you took the time to create a video. You'll get a response. And then the responses that I was getting back is I had to watch it again because I was taking notes, and then I sent it on over to our marketing team so that they can start reviewing the stuff as well. And they begin to think about it. And that starts a process of them thinking about it and talking about it, is what happens there. And then over time, you build that relationship. So I did that, and I was able to get the attention of several different ones, whether it was a startup business. I did lots of different things, like one-time things I did, you know, and with many of them, I've launched several brands on Pinterest, believe it or not, in the last probably 4 years. I began working on that from people in different countries. One of the largest ones that I did with the first, well, that was back 4 years ago, was a $30 million company in New York that has a direct contract with Amazon and with Costco. And they needed help pushing in traffic to their Shopify store, because if they have those contracts that are not renewed, their entire business goes down, just like that, because they're so dependent on those contracts with Amazon and Costco. That's a major problem. So then I did that, and I helped them to get set up. And then they hired me to write a short manual, if you will, to turn that over to one of their employees to begin working in that direction. And they were taking it a lot more seriously of how do we work the organic angle of this. And so that's what I did. That was one of the first ones. And then I went on from there, and I started working with a fashion brand in Ireland that contacted me. And I had no idea where they came. I think it was a referral from another one that I had worked with. And then one thing led to another, and they heard and came back over. And so I started to work with a fashion brand in Ireland and completely overhauled their stuff to help them. And then I went on from there, and they're considered a smaller fashion brand than what some of them are, but they're big in Ireland. but they were wanting more sales in the US. So I was really trying to work on that and get them a lot of US people pushing in so that they could get some exposure outside of Ireland and Europe, because it was, not known very much here. And helping them, if they wanted to expand to Amazon, helping them in that direction as well, or whatever it is that they needed. And I kept going. And then in the last year, it's taken me a year and a half, and I was able to get the attention of a CEO of a very large fashion brand in the US. And I was told that it's extremely hard to do, very, very hard to do. And I was told by some people, and I said, well, that sounds like a challenge to me. So I started going after it, and I did it. I finally broke into it. It took me a year and a half of this back and forth communication with the CEO. And we were on Zoom calls just like this. And he was very skeptical, very skeptical. And I said, there's so much that can be done here to really blow this up and help you.
It
then
also leads into proven product partnering, right? The wholesale and PPP model are so.
Yep, it goes right into it.
If they won't do a PPP deal with me, then I'm like, okay, well then can I set up a wholesale account, right? Yep. And I'm just not getting no's. But let's get these questions, because we're kind of narrowing down on the time here. But there's a really good question here, right? There's several questions. I want to let you guys come in and ask all these questions, but we're just going to go ahead and ask them, right? Tina asks, do you already know how much their products cost before you start talking about the relationship or after? And just for me real quick on that, I will go to a business, the old school, the model of offline biz, right? If you've never heard of offline biz, it was an old web membership website that we have. And I would say a 4-line letter, hey, I've been paying attention to your business, and I think I have some ideas that could explode your business. I don't want to bother you right now. When would be a good time for us to chat? If you're interested, here's the schedule to my link schedule. Here's my cell phone number. I think you'll be very interested in what I have to say. And they're dying to find out, what is this guy going to tell me, right? They want to know the secret, right? So, but in terms of going into that call with them, oh yeah, I'm already going to have pulled them up on Helium 10. Look at their product. I'm going to know who their top 5 competitors are in their top 5 marketplaces. I'm going to know what they sell per month. And you know what? Yep, I'm going to tell them a little bit about how they're failing, but way more about how their competitors are winning. Hey, I noticed that your competitors, this is what they're doing that you're not. And it's great. And what they're having is just massive success. And that perks their ears right up. My competitors are doing what? Right. So that's my approach. Mm-hmm. What's your approach, Teresa?
Well, I don't do services for Amazon. If I get requests for that, then I try to push them, refer them over to some of my coaching students and past coaching students that do that, because that's something that we've actually worked on. And I coach that as well, of how to start offering services. And one of them is actually a coach in proven product partnering, and has a remarkable story and is doing very, very well with it. And that was the main focus. And that's what we did. And every single session was how to improve for his client stuff. And that's what we worked on. And he kept gaining more and more clients over time, and has worked well as a strategy of just doing that as a stream of income. But how I've approached it on calls is, yes, I do my research. I look at it and I do my research, but I let them, I just basically share. I let them get to the point. And this is because I'm a terrible salesperson. As I learned that the best way for me to sell is to not sell, because I'm terrible at it. So by not selling, I'm actually selling. All I'm doing is just teaching and the stuff that I do every day and talking and being myself. And then they hear it and I show examples. The more that I show, the more that they look at it, it's like, whoa, this is real. That's cool. And they get a better understanding. Once they understand, then they come to you. And usually by the end of the call, here's what's been happening. By the end of the call, they say, well, how do I get started? How do we get started? What is your pricing? They start asking me. I don't have to say anything. They just do that. So you wait for that moment and don't push it a minute closer to that. You wait for them to say, this sounds fantastic. I want to know your pricing. And then when they hear that and it's reasonable, I say, they will say, how can, can I get started? And let's get started today. And that happens about every single time now, where it just taking the approach of not selling. That sounds counterintuitive.
Sure.
But you sell by not selling. I don't know if that makes any sense to you.
That's huge. That's huge because people don't want to be sold. They don't, and they will be off put by it big time. With PPP or wholesale, yeah, you don't do the selling. They need to sell you on why you should work with them, really. Because if you're working with the wrong person, that's another trap and a time suck. You got to make sure they meet your criteria, not them meeting your criteria. You got to make sure that they meet your criteria. Now, another good question here, and there's a lot coming in right now. But Debbie Shadlock, how are you? Good to see you here. You've been around with our community for a long, long time. We really appreciate the way you've contributed over the years. How do you send the video, Teresa? If you send the link, do you introduce it so they aren't afraid to click on it? Or that was another question. We can hit two birds with one stone. Are we putting the video up on YouTube and sending them a link? How are we sending them the video?
Okay. You can, if you want, put the video on YouTube and set it as unlisted so that the rest of the world doesn't see it. You can do that. That means that only people that have the link can actually watch it. So you share the link. They are the only ones that can actually watch it. You can do it that way, but I prefer to just do the video and hold it in my Google Drive. Simple as that. Then I just share it as view only. That's it. Google Drive, view only, absolutely free. Then you don't have to worry about the rest of the world seeing it or whatever, or just do that. And I constantly do that with the videos and send them out, and they love it. And you can put a link in your email, but you need to take a picture or use a thumbnail within your email so that it's real clear, because they will stop scrolling when they see something visual. If you write, well, here's a link to my video, and all they see is this little blue link, they're going to miss it because it's in the sea of words, and they don't care about the words. They're skipping the words. Like, let's get to this. Let's just get to the point, because they don't have time. So when they see a visual, they stop like that and they say, ooh, a video. They click on it, takes them over to your video. They watch it every time. That's how you do it. So just having a little link there, they're going to miss it.
Doing that video in the very first email that you send them as an initial contact?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yep. I do that all the time. That's how I've gotten the attention of some pretty big companies. And so if wholesale and selling on Amazon doesn't work out for you, go to plan B. How can I do consulting? How can I do services, marketing? That's it. So again, it's never a bust. If they say no to you, we don't want any more Amazon sellers. You say, I think I can improve your sales. What if you talk about services, and you can offer that? That's your plan B. Is you can, once you get your skill sets, and you can start offering services in different areas in different directions, and that works out very, very well. And when they hear your background and your history, then they say, wow, yeah, you've got the skill sets, and we can come to you with questions as well for help in different areas of their business, which is often what happens.
I have a question.
Sure.
Can you hear me?
Yep, we got you, Barb.
Okay, thank you. So a lot of great information you're sharing tonight, and my wheels are turning a little bit here.
Good.
A lot of it, because I've been an activewear designer for the last 20 years, and I work with a lot of big brands. And I currently have a private label product on Amazon, but I am looking to add another stream of income. And it really, speaks to my spirit and what my experience has been when you talk about, wholesale. So is there a category that you feel is probably the most successful on Amazon? Is it men's, women's? Is it active? Is it sportswear? Is it ready to wear? Is it underwear? What do you think is the more successful category? What have you seen in your experience?
All of them. I've sold in every single category in Amazon.
Oh, wow.
Everything. Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. So now what are you considering when you had mentioned, I think it was a company in Ireland, you said it was a really successful company. Like, what does that dollar amount look like? Because you've also mentioned some startups.
Yeah, that was services. That was services. That wasn't buying wholesale and
Okay,
selling of that. That was actually services. They came to me asking for services.
Got it. Okay.
So that's what that was. That was back probably 3 years ago. And it's owned by 3 women in Ireland, and they have several brick and mortars throughout Ireland, and then they have their online store. And they were trying to figure out what to do to bring more people into their store. So they're actually very successful in Ireland, and they just were looking for some more help. That they were not interested actually in selling on Amazon, but you take your skill sets and they go everywhere. That's part of the basic principles of business. Is if I understand the skill set with Amazon, I got a skill set that I can use on Amazon. I can use it here, and I can use it here, and I can use it here. And you now have unlimited possibilities of all kinds of ways of making money. That's what opens you up to multiple streams, is your skill sets that you keep getting. So if you're going to do one thing, is get those skill sets going.
Got it.
Yeah, I actually, Barb reached out to me and today, and we talked for an hour today.
We could have kept going.
And some of the stuff that you're involved with is amazing. Some of the stuff that you're doing is like, you're exactly the type of person that we look to help, because you have the kind of some of the foundation and the mindset and the potential is just limitless, really, because of and that's my thing. Is I get lucky. I get Oscar Matumbos that come along and make me look like a rock star. And then now I want to buy his coaching program, right? Because he's just unbelievable. But the going back to the clothing apparel side of things, the question that you asked, it not only is clothing apparel really, really good, and I do a ton of it. I sell shoes. Shoes is my favorite, but because it's just easy. But returns are high. You're looking at about 10% return ratio on clothing apparel niche in general, right? So you take that into consideration. And then check this out. It's one of the most sought after categories that Amazon's going for. I'll tell a quick story. So I was selling smart wool. I was hooked up with the CEO of the business, right? I was buying all of their sample inventory, all of their sales rep samples from all of their reps nationwide. Right. And if Smart Wool is a company that sells socks for $20 a pair, wool socks, merino wool socks, you can't get them to stink. You could wear them for 5 days and they're antimicrobial, like they're high-end outdoor. You only find them at high-end outdoor sporting stores. Right. Well, one day, me and my partner, who is also a coaching client, we're selling it, and boom, we get this IP claim from Amazon that looks really fishy and fake and says, we want all your data for Smart Wool. You're suspended. I mean, this is when they just straight up suspended you, no questions asked.
I think Zoom is muting Nathan.
That was weird.
No, it's not muting him. His audio, his internet connection is bad.
Yeah.
No, I was joking because he was saying that people have to mute him because he was talking, so I said Zoom is doing it.
It's okay. It's probably the internet connection. And here, there's heavy rain coming down, so it might be interrupting because I've got the Zoom on my end. It could be doing some interruptions there, so I apologize for that. You might be hearing the thunder in the background through my microphone is what's happening here. But he'll be back in a second. But I don't know if your question got answered.
Yeah, it got answered. I mean, there's just so many things like going on in my brain, just because, Nate and I had an opportunity to speak earlier today, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is what I live for. And I've just been focused on being a consultant and helping other people make millions of dollars. I mean, in March, you know, I closed a $3 million deal for Sam's Club for one of my clients, and then they closed the company. It's crazy, but you know, it happened. But at the same time, you know, we were selected from Walmart's open call for, because I have a line of dog treats, and we just got into Walmart, and it's the .com, and then it'll be in the store. But in the meantime, I need to figure out how to support that business. And since my company closed, I'm like, okay, now I got to figure out how I'm going to make my next dollar. So, you know, I really do want this to be more long-term, because I work with a lot of different companies and I go from company to company, and I'm just kind of tired of that.
Yeah. So you just bring everything up online, and then eventually referrals will happen, and then they'll start coming to you instead of you having to go out to them. Which is a great thing to have. Are you looking at selling physical products or doing services, or what is the direction that you feel you're headed into? You don't have to do it all. In fact, you don't want to. Focus on one thing at a time.
I mean, I feel like services might be easier, just because I think right now, you know, I worked in the fashion industry in New York, and there's a lot of companies that went out of business or just figure out what their next is going to be. So I don't know if I want to do that. I feel like providing a service and sort of guiding people would probably fit better for me.
Yeah, there's still a lot of opportunity. You don't have to necessarily pick a certain niche if you wanted to. What I did was I have worked with all niches, brands in all niches. I worked with some Canadians with their leather products that they have there, manufacturing very high end, very, very high end stuff, and help them. They're going to come to you from all different niches and ask, hey, can you help me? And I've worked in some really weird ones. And I'm like, yeah, I think I can help you. Let's do it, you know? And they give you a referral. And I say, how in the world did you hear about me? And they said, well, we heard about you because you did this service with this person over here. And then they told us about this, and that's how that all happened, right? It's just referrals coming in. So the fashion industry has been going down. Why? Because they're not getting their stuff online fast enough. They are late to the game in e-commerce. So that is actually an area where if they're willing to listen to you, because many of them are really old school. And now what's happened is we had this little thing called a pandemic. Guess what? They are pushing fast to get their stuff online because they've already were hurting. Now they're hurting even worse.
Well, now they're hurting with inventory.
Yes, because it's hard for them to get their stuff from the manufacturers.
That leads into, that was the meat of what I was about to say before the internet went down, right? I call Smartwool back and say, what is going on? And the CEO tells me, well, Amazon called me and they said that if I keep selling to you, they're not going to buy from us anymore, and we're their biggest customer.
Wow.
I was shocked. I was like, wait a minute, are you kidding me? He's like, man, I've got nothing personal, but I mean, Amazon buys a lot more from me than you do, right? And so I have to go with what they're telling me, right? So, I mean, this was ways back, and Amazon would, you know, I'm supposed to be the guy, oh no, Amazon's the greatest, right? But you always have an exit strategy. You always have a way to liquidate. You always have a way to, you're not just focusing on just Amazon, but that was the moral of the story. The guy called me back, just like you said, Teresa, and this was 2 years later after he had sold his company, made a ton of money, and he was going, hey, Nathan, I'm starting another merino wool company, but we want to work with you. We don't want to sell to Amazon anymore. They really kind of, you know, mess things up for us. And that's kind of why I sold the company, right? So now that Amazon is no longer taking on all these vendors, if it's something that they're heavy in, you want to be real careful, because you can have things, anything can happen. But because of the relationships that you have, that's huge, because it always comes back around. And you hear, you know, that same guy has referred 20 different reps to me in 20 different brands and shoes and other outdoor sporting apparel, right? So I think apparel is an excellent way to go. It's just really hard to start your own brand of apparel. That's the
Yeah,
hard
yeah,
part.
that is true.
Well, I've done that too.
If you work with a
Yeah.
household name, you're set. If you can get access to the inventory and they're not too protective of it, because they're old school, just like Teresa was saying. But if you get out there and you make those connections, I'd rather sell the stuff on eBay and not compete with Amazon, because with Zapp, they own Zappos now. They just, you can't compete with Amazon. Even if you're $10 cheaper than Amazon for the same product, you are going to get you're not going to get the buy box on Amazon in that category. You cannot reprice below Amazon in that category and win the buy box in shoes, in clothing, apparel. So something to consider there. Be careful what you wish for.
Yeah, with selling with clothing on Amazon, I sold actually a lot more stuff faster that was not shoes in the clothing category. And when you buy wholesale, you can find them and locate them. And I was able to watch the trends, look at it, and turn thousands of t-shirts over in 3 days. There's things you can do. And what happened is a lot of Chinese sellers came on with their counterfeits. That's going to happen every time. When something is successful, look out. You're going to get about 25 knockoff sellers on there and everybody else in the world. And what you do is you wait it out. You wait it out. And then I contacted the vice president, showed him what was going on. He looked at it and said, yeah. He went and enforced the Amazon brand registry. Overnight, they were knocked off. Every single one of those Chinese sellers with the counterfeits were knocked off overnight, reinstated me as his approved Amazon seller. My inventory went out of stranded inventory back into regular inventory. Boom. I was the only FBA seller, just like that. And it only took him 24 hours to do that. So when you build a relationship with these manufacturers, they are going to bat for you just the same as you're batting for them. And that is always going to be an issue. The number one problem on Amazon is the counterfeits that come in. And so there's things you could do for that or about that. And don't be afraid to contact the manufacturers when this stuff starts happening, because it's affecting their brand. And you don't want that to happen. You've got to be protective of their brand. And you would want them to do that for you. If someone was buying wholesale from you and it was your brand, you would want them to be protecting your brand and helping you as well. So, it's a two-way street. And the stuff that I sold in clothing I sold everything. Pajamas sell really well at Christmas time. Oh man, I sold a lot of pajamas. Not just for kids, for adults.
And then there's family gets pajamas, and
there's like this trend of the whole family getting pajamas for Christmas. Everyone wants pajamas for Christmas. Let me tell you.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
That's our family tradition.
Yeah.
Pajamas.
Yep. And t-shirts in the middle of dead winter, they sell.
But it's name brand t-shirts that are selling, right?
Yeah, I basically hooked up with a lot of manufacturers of stuff, especially licensed apparel, and they had the legit licensing, and it was selling like that right in the dead of winter.
No.
Yeah.
So the person that owns a license will give you the green light that you can sell on Amazon.
I'm sorry, ask that one more time.
So the person that owns the license will give you the green light to sell on Amazon?
The manufacturer has to legitimately hold the license. If they're selling licensed apparel, they need to legitimately hold that license.
No, I understand that. But the last company that I worked for, they had the license for miter. Right? And there were a lot of restrictions involved, what we could do with the license. And so if I went to him and said, hey, I want to sell miter product on Amazon, miter might not want that.
They may not, but I'd ask. Because there's a ton of licensed apparel that is sold on Amazon, whether they realize it and know it or not. A ton of it.
Got it.
A lot of licensed stuff that's up there.
Okay.
Yep. So I wouldn't let that stop you. You just got to go and talk.
Yeah.
And contact and talk and have a conversation, and don't let the fear get the best of you, because they're just a human being just like you are. And you have their best interest in mind. at all times. That's the key.
Thank you.
I will say this, the worst mistake that I've seen Amazon sellers do is they contact a manufacturer and say, I can help you get more sales on Amazon. And then they're thinking in their minds, by you buying wholesale from me, you're able to get me more sales on Amazon. Are you? And then they start asking questions like, does that mean I'm going to get a percentage of your sales? And then I have some people come back to me and ask us, like, no, because you're not actually helping them increase their sales on Amazon. That's what you are doing for you.
But do you give them a percentage?
You need to talk about how this is going to help them. No. You selling on Amazon benefits you and you only. Do not contact a manufacturer and say, I can get you more sales on Amazon. That's why I need to open up an account with you and start buying wholesale from you. That's not the direct benefit that they're receiving. Mm-hmm. Think about what is their direct benefit. By you buying their stuff wholesale and selling the stuff on Amazon, what is the direct benefit that this brand is going to receive? And you got to think bigger and think outside the box. Okay. So that direct benefit, if it's only to you, which is more sales, don't lead with that. Because you're talking about yourself. They don't care. They don't care how many sales you get on Amazon because they don't get any of it. That's not their direct benefit. Their direct benefit is brand awareness. And I say, I want to get your brand in every household. I want you to become a household name. Let's get you out there across the US. And Amazon is the largest online marketplace. That is a fact.
It is true.
You got to be in there. Your brand has to be in there because people are looking for your brand in there. And you do have full control over your brand. You may not realize it, but you got a lot more control than what you think you do to protect your brand. And I'm right here helping and guiding you through that. So that's how you do it. You have to help them to see the bigger picture of how to grow their brand. So that's what they're in for, is bigger brand awareness. All of this is going on. And referrals is how they sell their products. So when one person experiences something positive by buying their product off of Amazon, they go and tell another person. And they ask, where'd you get that? And they say, I bought it from Amazon. Then they get another referral and another referral. And isn't that what happens? Mm-hmm. When you go and ask someone, where'd you buy that? And they say, oh, I bought it on Amazon.
Yeah.
That's the reality.
I've done it a million times.
That's the reality. So you got to bring that up, is that your best customers are going to be referrals that have come from someone buying your product on Amazon. And they tell people, I bought it on Amazon, right? They go there first before they're going to go and go buy from their online store. That's what's happening. So what it does is it brings them leads into their online store. And that's what it can do. So Amazon can be a lead for them. It's not, they think that Amazon, many of these brands think that Amazon is the enemy. Actually, it's not. You got to leverage it correctly, and it's leads. Mm-hmm. It's leads to building their brand is what it is.
Great stuff.
Yeah, guys, we're so blessed to have you, Teresa. And just, I want to throw this out there, guys. Getting coaching with Teresa, usually when we do these events, we fill up her schedule. She doesn't have an unlimited schedule. If you feel like she might be an answer for you to move forward, there's a lot of good coaches in these groups. I mean, you can see Larry and Sue Pruitt there. They know a lot of this stuff too, and we all work together. And we can even work together even better with your help, right? Keep us tapped into what your needs are, and I will get you to the pool of resources of coaches that we have. But I would highly recommend this guy right here. This is Matt Thompson, right?
Hey, everybody. I've
been great friends with Matt for longer than I've known Jim Cock, about 30 years. Matt is you're probably one of the most honest people I've ever known and worked with. He is my partner in this business now. He oversees a lot of different things. He works with Jim Cooper and I. Get on the phone with Matt, schedule a call with Matt, right? And let's talk about your options of, working with Teresa, working with Larry and Sue. And if there's a will, there's a way, right? The only thing that's holding us back, right, in any of our endeavors is just not having the right knowledge, direction, and tools. Although at least I can tell you this, I've officially now, if you've been on this call for the last hour and a half with us, which thank you, Teresa, for all the time. I officially made it so that you did not watch the debate. You
Hey,
don't
I've already voted.
that's not even anywhere near as good as this, right?
I can't wait to see the recording, the playback on this.
Yeah. Guys, we appreciate it. We probably better let everyone go because tomorrow is going to be jam-packed too. Pay close attention. There's some really cool stuff going on, and we live to help people like get to where they're going. It takes time. It's a process. It's not an event, but yeah, if you feel like Teresa, can be an asset to your business, get with us and let us know, and we'll do whatever we can to help make that connection and help you grow your business to where you can grow it bigger than what it is. You know it and I know it, right?
Yeah.
So.
And it doesn't have to be wholesale. Okay. I don't know how I got labeled as this wholesale person. It just happened, whether I wanted it to happen or not. But the truth is that I've helped people with building their brands, with their private label products, help them increase their sales that way, get their SEO going on Amazon, help them in many, many different capacities, not just Amazon, even bloggers. There's been higher and higher requests of bloggers of how can we do the SEO because their traffic really went down. And I go in and I sit and I do an audit for Google and get that pushed back up and other areas of things that they can be doing because it is affecting their livelihood. And there's many, 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 many different ways of making money online. You don't need to do them all, but everybody's got these different areas that they're focusing on. And I've been in there and have done it over and over and over again. I don't know how many Shopify stores I've helped to set up. I don't know how many. I actually built a blog for one of my good friends because she's getting her second book published with a publishing company and came to me and said, what do I do? I said, you need a website. And she was begging me to build the thing. And I'm like, I don't have time for this. And so I ended up doing it because we have that relationship, and she's trying to take it to the next level in her life with this amazing opportunity. So there's all kinds of stuff, whether it's helping you build a website, helping you with your SEO, if it is Amazon, if it is marketing, if it is services, you're trying to figure out how can I put together packages to offer as services. This is what we work on. And this is what we do to help people with their different areas of streams of income. Right now, I have actually one of the biggest things in my business is some clients that I've been working with have come to me and said, can you do more ghostwriting, honestly? And I've done a lot of that, believe it or not, of ghostwriting for different people's blogs, doing their content marketing and being behind the scenes, doing a bunch of content marketing, and I SEO the thing up so that we can get that traffic coming in from Google. And so one of them that I work with, a brand, they import products from Morocco. Okay. And I managed their stuff, and they came to me and I did a couple blog posts, SEO'd the thing up, and they said, can you start doing that like at least 3 a month now from now on? And I'm like, yeah. Like, okay, so that's there's all kinds of creative ways with your skill sets of earning an income. And it can be physical products, digital products, services. It can be anything and everything, but pick one, master it, and go from there. And I live it daily of what I'm working on is just constant different things. So I am doing the ghostwriting for this brand that imports these products that start at $1,000 a piece up to $5,000 from Morocco. And I do that as far as helping with their funnel. And I am doing the ghostwriting behind the brand with their blog. And I help them set up their blog. And so there's lots of stuff that you can do with your skill sets. A few years ago, I did a lot of ghostwriting for some influencers with their blog. And that was a lot of fun. And did, SEO work and that kind of things as well. So you'll be surprised what will happen as different ones will ask you, do you do this? Do you do that? And I think, well, maybe I do now. That's not one of the things that I offer, but I think I need to start offering that now because they figured this stuff out. So let's, as you begin contacting manufacturers, talking to different brands, one thing leads to another, and let that reveal to you what area and direction that you need to add or go into. And it doesn't have to be just all one thing and that's it. You can always hire a team and train them up well as well to help you. Mm-hmm. Easy peasy.
Become a leader and then raise others. That's my philosophy. So Teresa, you know what? We better let everyone go here. I mean, I'll bet we could hang out for another hour. I know I could. But I gotta get Matt home. His wife's going to kill me.
I think it's a lot of fun to actually be able to hang out with people and be able to talk to more people. Sometimes when we're live in the conferences, it's really hard, afterwards, and you're trying to get to everybody and they have to get to the next thing and the next session. And it can be tricky. So this is one of the good things about doing it this way is that we actually can spend more time.
Yeah. Teresa, the response tonight from your presentation was unbelievable.
Thanks so much, Teresa. You're awesome.
Good. Hopefully it builds your business. You need to go out there now and do something with it.
It looks like you could get piano lessons too.
I did for 16 years. Yeah, that was one of many instruments that I taught. I actually taught all of them.
Goodness.
I only have 2 main instruments, but then I learned them all, began that process of mastery. And then for 16 years, I taught all wind instruments privately, percussion, all of it. People paid me to do this stuff. Can you believe it? Like, what?
Can you play us out?
You're one smart lady.
So this piano sitting behind me is one of them that's really tough for me to ever get rid of because it was a digital piano that was bought for my 16th birthday.
Oh, wow.
Goodness.
That was my present when I turned 16 was a piano. And I was thrilled. I'm one of those weird kids where I was playing on a piano that was a clunker, upright, big old clunker that was out of tune because my parents got it for free. And they didn't know if I was going to be very serious about this. And they couldn't afford it.
How old were you? How old were you?
They couldn't even afford to tune it.
How old were you when you started, Teresa?
I was 7.
Yeah, I started speaking over to the neighbors at 4 and 5 years old to play their piano.
There you go.
Hear that note back, play the theme to Star Wars and stuff. And so the curious mind is our most, I think, is our strongest muscle, but you have to work it out. You have to take it to the gym.
Yep.
All right, guys. Well, listen, Teresa, you know what? Thanks so much. Guys, I'm going to head out. I don't know who is the real moderator here. I hope I didn't make you miss too much of the debate, whoever you are. But this will have a replay, and so will that. So, guys, have a great night. I'll see you tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thanks again, Teresa.
Yeah, you bet. You bet. You bet. Have a great night.
You too.